Howdy, everyone. This is Grakef. This is episode 2. So we just launched our first vehicle. You'll notice at the top we have our funds, our reputation, and we now have some science. We want to spend that science so we can get some more fancy parts and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to start off this episode in the research and development building. This is where we spend our science so that we can get more parts. So we have two that are that we can afford currently and are unlocked. The first one being basic rocketry, which will unlock liquid fuel rockets and a bigger solid booster rocket. And then engineering 101, which will unlock decouplers, a thermometer, and antennas. Antennas will allow us to transmit science. We currently have not been able to do that, but with this we can. So I'm going to go ahead and spend the 5 points right down here and the 5 points on this one. All right, that's going to give us 15 points, which I want to spend on survivability, which also unlocks another science, the barometer. So we're all out of science, but you'll notice that these ones are unlocked because we have completed the previous path. So you notice that we couldn't do stability without doing both basic rocketry and engineering, and we couldn't do basic rocketry or general rocketry without unlocking basic rocketry. So there's usually stuff that is required from other areas as you unlock more stuff and get into more advanced science. The top path is going to be your rockets. Through the middle will be the structural parts, or sort of the upper middle is structural and fuel efficiency and stuff like that. Stability in aviation, your landing and rovers, that stuff is all kind of right in here. And then flight control, so that deals with SAS, RCS, those kind of things. It's all going to be right through here. And then you got your more kind of rover parts, space exploration, science stuff down here. Batteries and solar is at the very bottom too. So, okay. So that's the kind of the quick and dirty of the research and development. And now that we've completed our 2 contracts, we are going to be offered a lot more and different styles of contracts. Some of them will ask you to do observations at certain altitudes around certain spots. Others will have you test different parts or haul different parts. And then you'll still have your main core ones. And the one we want to work today is escaping the atmosphere. So we want to reach that 70,000 meters. And to do that, we're going to need a little bit bigger rocket. The fleet can only reach about 20 kilometers. So I'm going to, instead of modifying the Grasshopper, I want to go ahead and click New up here. And we're going to say Don't Save because I want to leave it as it is. And we're going to get the command pod. And then underneath that, I want to go ahead and put a service bay. And that service bay was one of the items we unlocked. And that'll allow us to fit some more science on our vehicle. We unlocked the thermometer. So I want to get one of those in here. Oh. Yeah, we got 3-way symmetry on. So it's trying to put those around. And we just need to, if we can get it to just stick right here. I'm going to press, you can press W, A, S, and D, and that's going to rotate those parts around. We only need one of those because it's like the crew report, in that we can store that data. However, some of your experiments, like the mystery goo canister here, they can only be used once. So we're going to want to try take a couple of these. Also, since we're going to be re-entering through the atmosphere, we're going to want a heat shield to protect our service bay. We're not going to be coming down very fast, so we don't need a whole lot of abrader, but we do need a little bit. The basic command pod has a built-in heat shield, and it doesn't take a abrader, so it is really efficient. But since we have that service bay, we're going to want to make sure we have the heat shield. The other nice thing about the heat shield is this makes sure that aerodynamically this is the going down part. Sometimes you'll, like we had with our first rocket, the command pod is the heaviest part, and so it'll want to try and become the going down part. So, all right. We're also going to need some parachutes. I'm going to use the radial mounted ones that we unlocked and put 2 on there. And I'm also going to use 2 of these smaller drogue parachutes. So we want to make sure that we launch these first, the drogue parachutes. They will slow us down in higher up in the atmosphere. And then we can use our normal parachutes. Oh, we didn't unlock a part that I wanted, and that's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just use the parachute again. We need a nose cone. I am not seeing that. All right. So now that we got our little upper section here, we now can use our decoupler. And we can click on that, and it will put a little shroud around our heat shield, or if we kind of push it up just a little bit, then it won't do a shroud. I like the look with the shroud better. And there we go. So the decoupler allows us to separate stages. So previously we had to take our booster back down with us because we didn't have any way to separate it from the upper stage. Now we can do that. We also unlocked the liquid fuel tank, so I want to go ahead and use that. If we just put down 1 tank though, that's not going to give us a lot of Delta V. It's a little bit less than half a flea booster, so not a whole lot. But that's okay. We can press Alt. That lets us duplicate that tank. And then if we do that again, pressing Alt, you'll notice it'll let us duplicate again. I'm going to do that one more time for a total of 8 of these small tanks. And now you'll see we have quite a bit more Delta V. You'll notice also our thrust to weight ratio is going down as we add more. So let's go ahead and add 4 more, and we'll see how that affects. Both will have a lot more meters per second available, but notice our thrust to weight ratio. You want to try and keep that whenever possible above 1.5. You still can take off, but it is not very efficient. Your upper stages can be below 1.5, but for your base off the launch pad, you want to make sure that's a little is higher than that. And we don't need all that extra fuel. We're only trying to go suborbital, and so that 8 tanks is more than enough, and we'll be efficient about it. All right, we want this to be stable as it's going up, so we're going to go ahead and add those fins back. These are a little undersized for the size of a vehicle, but the swivel has a feature called gimbal, and that allows the rocket engine to kind of twist and turn and help with our making everything go as it's supposed to. Okay, so all right, so this is our new rocket here. We got a little bit more science on the inside here, a lot more fuel to go up with. We want to check our staging because it's a much more complex rocket than we had before. So our first stage is going to be igniting our rocket. Second stage is going to be separation of our liquid fuel motor and the tanks. Our number 1 stage, that goes through the other order there, it's going to be the drogue chutes, and then 0 will be our main parachutes. Okay. I'm going to call this one suborbital. And you can also add a description up here. Liquid fuel suborbit. There we go. Okay. One last thing I forgot to add here is we want to add communications. We unlocked these antennas, and so I want to go ahead. I just want one of them. And so I'll remember I'm pressing X to change that. Use E right there to rotate it. So it kind of looks like it's meant to be there. Some parts don't really matter about symmetry, antennas and the like. Our parachutes do. They will create drag, being in the configuration they are, but that's kind of how we're going to need to do that. And I did stack it so that we're got the main drogues creating a little bit of interference and cutting down on the big interference that we caused by the these the bigger main chutes. The Mark II are radio mount parachutes. Whoops. Get those cut over where I want them again. Okay, there we go. I want to make sure they're in symmetry, otherwise your rocket will tip kind of a little weird as it's coming down. Not the end of the world. All right, I'm going to go ahead and save that. And we're going ahead and launch. Two things we want to make sure we turn on before we launch this time. I want to make sure that I hit T. That turns on the stability assistance. And then I'm going to press Z. That puts my throttle to 100%. You can change your throttle from with the shift and control, or you can press Z to put it to 100%. If you push control, no, X, yeah, it's X that turns it to 0. So Z to 100, X to 0, shift to increase, control to decrease. All right, so now my throttle is 100%. I want to go ahead and ignite my liquid fuel rocket. And we're taking off. We're taking off at a much slower pace this time because our thrust weight ratio is much lower than on our previous rocket. I want to go ahead and open up our service bay though, so we can get inside here, and we want to log the pressure data. Notice that we can transmit this data for 5.9. I'm going to go ahead and keep the experiment and get in here and nope, come on. We're going to log the temperature. We'll keep that experiment, and I want to do observe the mystery goo, and we'll keep that experiment. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of try and tip over a little bit here. Don't want to go straight up. That'll cause us a lot of issues. I'm also going to throttle down quite a bit. We're almost out of fuel here. Yeah, I'm going to throttle down almost. Yeah. And I just want to kind of coast here. We haven't unlocked anything in the tracking station, but we should be on a good apogee to go suborbital. I don't want to get that too high because that would cause a lot of stress for re-entry. We just want to have a nice, gentle trajectory. And let's see if I was able to do it. I was trying to talk and do a couple of things at the same time, so let's see if we cross that 70,000. Oh yeah, we crossed it with stuff to spare. So we're now out in space. We cannot currently do an EV8 because we don't have that capability, but we can open back up our service bay, and we can perform. Oh, that's right. That's right. So let's go ahead and transmit that. I'm going to review the data, and I'm going to transmit that back. That way we can grab another temperature, and I will keep this one. Notice that though when we transmit, we only get 70%. So, all right. So I can now log the pressure. Oh, did it not? Are we out of? Yeah, we do not have enough electrical charge. We ran out of electrical charge because we had the SAS on. That takes electrical charge as well. Should turn that off when we got up to space, but that's okay. just go ahead and observe the mystery goo. We're going to want to keep that experiment. Okay, let's button everything up. Since we're out of a electrical charge, we cannot use our reaction wheel to kind of turn around. So we're going to enter the atmosphere kind of a little sideways, which is not ideal. But we have a heat shield, so that will right us as we come down. Okay, so now we're back in the atmosphere. I turn on 4 times time acceleration. You'll notice that our craft is now creating a bit of drag. And so the heaviest part, which is our heat shield, wants to point downward. But we're coming in way too fast for our parachutes at this point. So we need to wait until we've slowed down. We've lost a lot of that momentum that we had from our trajectory. Okay, we don't need our heat shield anymore. I want to get our drogue chutes. There we go. Now we can get rid of that heat shield. It's going to ride kind of below us, but it is no longer dead weight that we have to try and slow down. All right, I'm going to float down on the drogues for quite a bit here. We have ample parachutes here, so I want to get down around 2,000 and then I'll pull the main parachutes. I'm going to go to 4x time acceleration. All right, there we go, 2,500. Notice our drogues also fully deployed, but our main parachutes are partially deployed. So come down further. No jarring too much for our Kerbals. Okay, there we go. Now all our parachutes are fully deployed. At this time, I'm going to go ahead. You can cut your drogues. We do not need those anymore. And this parachute is actually pretty redundant as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that. All right. And we're going to descend at about 4.5 kilometers. Or, sorry, kilometers. Woof, that's pretty fast. Meters per second, which is a nice, gentle landing. You want to try to keep your landings below 11 meters per second if you're landing in water. If you're landing on land, try and keep it below 8 or 7. It depends on the type of equipment you have as the bottom. Capsules can take a lot more hit from that from splashdown or landing on the land, but surface bays and various other things like engines really do not want to be hit hard. They tend to break and explode. All right, here we go. And touchdown on the water. So we just had our suborbital, but this is a new biome for us. We have never landed in the water. So I want to take just a moment here. We're going to try and get a little bit more science. Let's see if I can click on that one. There we go. So we can grab some science. We observe the mystery goo from Kerbin's water. The goo escapes into the water. Oh my. We can also do an EVA since we are landed back on Kerbin. We do that EVA report, grab a little bit more science there. We can board our vessel now, and we can do a crew report. I forgot to do a crew report from space, but that's okay. We'll get it. We'll be going to space a lot of times. So, but yeah, just a nice little quick one. And we're all done with suborbital. So, appreciate you watching. Remember, love is love. Stay safe. And this is Grakef signing off. Bye-bye.